So just put a comment in there and just welcome everybody. So that's it. It tells me it's gone to YouTube, so it's on there.
Sound.
So we'll just see how it goes then. So yeah.
Are we on? Is it just YouTube then?
Yeah. And it tells me when people are watching. So it's got a little eye symbol. Can you see that eye symbol under in the top left hand corner of the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that for then?
That tells you how many people are watching.
All right. Okay. Did you see that the last interview that Eddie Hearn did about Joshua Fury, saying, going on about we're ready to sign? So to me, it don't seem like it's even close.
Well, it depends who you listen to, isn't it? You've got Bob Arum saying they're all good to go as well. So what's the sticking point?
It falls down to this usual stuff in boxing, the politics that goes off between these big promoters.
Yeah,
it's frustrating. You got two world champions, both saying that they want to cement the legacies, but when it comes down to it, it should be them two going, "What's the hold up? Where's the hold up? Get the fight on."
I mean, the governing body just stepped aside now, aren't they?
There should be no hold up now, mate. These two should get it on.
Where's it going to be? Where's your money on?
Well, it shouldn't even come down to money. They're both rich men. It shouldn't come down to money. It should come down to who wants it the most.
Where would you put it?
Do you really want that legacy? Do you really want to be the first undisputed champion since Lennox Lewis?
So where did Andy put it then?
Where what?
Where do you put the fight?
As in where it'll be shown?
Where's your money? What's your money on?
Me head's telling me that Fury wins it all day long, but Joshua's done strange things, mate. You just never know.
And where do you think the fight will take place? Which territory?
Oh, I think it's going to be Saudi, mate.
Yeah.
It's the only when you think about it, the only way they make money in England, decent money, is to have a fight at Wembley. Same for America. It's got to be in a stadium. Pay-per-views make some money, but they ain't going to worry about that. If they go to Saudi, the big bucks from the Saudi billionaires pays for that without even worrying. They ain't got to think about gate receipts. They ain't got to think about pay-per-view when it comes down to fighting over there. That's just extra money in the back pocket for the two fighters, isn't it?
Yeah. Let me put another scenario to you then. So you're Rob McCracken. How do you beat Fury?
Robin McCracken's a smart cookie, mate. He's not daft, and he'll know deep down. He'll be telling Joshua different things, but he'll know deep down.
Yeah, but you're not a fan of his defensive work, are you?
No, I'm not. He's not a defensive trainer. So that puts me to what I'm about to say. He knows that Joshua can't use the sort of fighting skills that he put in against Ruiz in that second fight. He can't do that with Fury because Fury will just dance around him, beat him all day long. Joshua's only chance, and this is what Rob McCracken's going to have to say to him, is you're going to have to put it on him from the first bell. So I watched back some old Joshua fights from. I know he's fighting British level and less than British level in them early fights, but he had aggression, mate, and that's what made.
It was raw, wasn't it?
It was raw. He had aggression. He wasn't afraid to go forward, and that's the way you'd have to fight for me to have any chance of winning. The thing is, I don't know if he's got that in him anymore. I think sometimes I feel like he's a bit scared to pull the trigger.
Who's got the best resume out of the two fighters?
I was looking at that as well. I think Joshua has, by quite some distance.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
If you take away the Klitschko, I mean, you can argue that Fury beat Klitschko in his prime. I actually think he was coming to the end of his prime at that point anyway. But he beat him at a better age, better level than he was when Joshua fought Klitschko.
He beat him when nobody else could, Andy. That's what he did.
He did, and you can't take that away from him. Other than that, because I don't rate Wilder one little bit, and I think any half decent heavyweight beats Wilder all day long. Other than the Klitschko, who's Fury really been in with?
Yep.
He's been in with Chisora twice when Chisora's head wasn't in the game. He wasn't into his boxing then. It'd be different if he fought the Chisora that's fighting now, that's actually taking himself seriously again. Because he wasn't doing, was he? At the time, if you think back to the time, he was all over the place, Chisora.
Well, if Steve Cunningham can knock Fury down, then Joshua's got to have a shot, hasn't he?
Oh, I think Fury's even admitted, mate, that there's every chance of any fighter knocking him down.
Yeah.
But what you got to give Fury over Joshua is he gets back up, and when he does get back up, he's clear straight away.
Yeah.
And that's Joshua's problem for me. He doesn't take a shot very well.
See, I'm not sure how they can give Joshua a chance in this fight because he doesn't bang as hard as Wilder. He doesn't bang it as hard, and Wilder couldn't put Fury away.
He's not a single punch concussive.
No.
Everyone says he hits really hard, and any heavyweight does, don't they? The size of the weight behind him, but one single concussive punch, I don't think you've seen that from Joshua in any fight. He's taken combinations to put people out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could argue his performances are getting worse.
This is what I'm talking about. He ain't got the same killer instinct as he had when he first came on the scene. And I think that comes down to being a bit gun shy because he's scared of getting caught.
And what's the old saying? It's a lot easier to go for your 5 a.m. runs when you're in nylon rather than silk.
That's the problem. That's just it. You know, he has a lot of outside interferences now. His entourage seems to grow, fight on fight on fight. He has millions of people around him. And
well, he's a brand, isn't he?
Without being disrespectful, they're all kind of his mates, aren't they? So no one's going to say anything against him other than maybe McCracken. You know, McCracken might turn around and say, "Come on, Joshua, pull your socks up. You're not doing enough." But other people around him aren't going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, Fury's come on leaps and bounds since going to the Kronk gym, hasn't he? You know.
Oh yeah. What he did was he took himself out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, he had no real connection there. He just thought, okay, I've heard this trainer's a decent trainer. Let's get out there. Let's see what goes off. He wasn't scared to do that.
Ben Davison shifted the weight, but now it's about the technical side of it, isn't it? You know, and Davison, I would argue, can't do that.
No, he's probably not got enough experience. I actually like the way he goes about stuff, and I like the way he analyses stuff. And I won't take anything away from him, mate, because he brought Fury back from a position that I don't think anybody else could have.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
and I think he's capable. I just don't know whether he's got the experience for that elite level that Fury's going to be fighting at for the rest of his career. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many more fights has Fury got left? Would you say 2 or 3? You know, at elite level.
Probably.
And probably similar for Joshua, to be honest.
Well, you know, either of them, to be honest with you, mate. One
of them retires after this, don't they, Andy?
I mean, whoever wins the fight, mate, they could retire as well and walk off into the sunset as undisputed champion, and no one would have an argument because there's no one else left, especially for Fury. There's no one else left to fight.
No,
you know, unless you throw Dillian White into the mix because the amount of time he's been at that number one spot. Yeah, fair enough. He's got to fight Povetkin again and reclaim that spot, but he deserves a shot. If you look at, I was looking at the rankings for each governing body, and they've all got Usyk at number 1 or number 2, apart from the WBC. They got him down at like number 10 or something, which makes no sense. So you can't really read too much into these rankings. They don't make a lot of sense sometimes. But he's probably the next in line for a big shot, I reckon. He's probably the next in line to get pushed.
Unless Joe Joyce turns him over.
Yeah, I mean, there's potential of that. But only because Usyk's not big enough to keep him off.
No, and Joyce will keep coming, won't he? Keep coming. You know. So coming back to AJ Fury then. So, what would your fight prediction be? I'm going to record this.
Okay, so for me, if I was McCracken, I'd be telling AJ the tactics for AJ should be come out strong, put it on him. The only problem with that is after 4 or 5 rounds, AJ is going to be done.
Yeah,
he'll be gassed. But that's his only, in my opinion, that's his only chance of winning. He can't outbox Fury, and the longer the fight goes, the more it goes down to Fury's side, and anything after 4 or 5 rounds for me, Fury takes control.
So prediction time then.
Fury wins for me. Fury wins mid to late rounds stoppage.
Well, I'm going to push you. Let's have a round out here because I'm going to pick a round.
You are? All right. Okay. I will say Fury stops AJ round 7, and he stops him because AJ is going to be knackered.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Before you give your prediction, here's the thing. Fury never stops moving.
Yeah.
That means AJ is going to have to carry on moving constantly. He's not got the tank, mate. Unless something else is going on in training that none of us know. Because I don't know about you, I've not seen any videos from AJ for quite some time.
No.
So you don't know what's happening in training. He could have lost a load of weight, could have lost a load of muscle, he could be really lean, could be back to where he was 2013, 2014 when he started making those shows. You just never know, mate. If he's back to that sort of weight, 18 stone kind of 17 and a half, 18 stone,
yeah,
then there's all sorts of possibilities. But for me, I can't see that happening. I don't see him changing the way he is. I don't see him changing the style he's got. And McCracken I love McCracken as a coach. He's a great coach, but he's not the greatest defensive coach. And this is why AJ's in a position where he's a little bit gun shy, because unlike Fury, AJ don't know how to ride a shot.
Yeah.
When he takes a shot, he takes it full. You watch Fury, when Fury takes a shot, he's taking off the sting out of the shot because he's moving away from it.
Yeah.
AJ don't know how to do that, unfortunately. And he also, in my opinion, he doesn't know how to make things look ugly, defend himself, buy himself a little bit of time when he's hurt. So when he's hurt, he does exactly what the likes of Amir Khan used to do. He fights. He gets bored and he starts swinging, and that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, back to the predictions. I said round 7 into. I'll stick with that, mate. I think AJ's tactics have to be he has to try and put it on Fury early, try and get him out early, and then if he doesn't, it will be a case of hold on, hope he can last the rest of the fight for me, and I don't think he can last the rest of the fight once he's emptied his tank, which he will have to do early on. I don't think there's a lot left. Go on then. What are you saying?
So I think he'll come in lean. I think he's going to try and surprise Fury. I'm going in championship round. So I think I'll fancy round 10. I think it's going to be a chess match, 4 or 5 rounds. Then Fury will work him out and slowly but surely just grind him down and then stop him in the 10th.
Right.
Because I think AJ will be blowing by them. Whether he loses weight or not, I just don't believe he's got an engine to take him. Uh,
No,
you
I
know my
agree.
you know my thoughts on AJ. I don't even. I'm not the biggest fan. He can bang. Can he bang more than Fury? I think the jury's out on that. I think Fury demonstrated against Wilder that people say he can't punch. Well, tell Deontay Wilder that.
Yeah.
'Cause he absolutely broke up in that fight, didn't he? And he
Yeah,
told
there was there was a lot going on. There was a lot of angles. There was a lot of punches thrown in. It wasn't. Fury's got a really good repertoire when it comes to to shot choice. You know, you get the same combinations out of AJ all the time
yeah,
because he repeats them, and that's not Fury. That's not Fury's game. Fury thinks on the fly. He picks up where he feels he needs to in the fight, and that'll be the difference for me, I'm afraid.
there's one punch though that I think might cause Fury a bit of trouble, and that's that uppercut.
Oh,
That
definitely. That's AJ's.
yeah,
You can tell he worked on that a lot because he uses it a lot now. That's his money shot, isn't it? When he's in close.
yeah, yeah. And then it's all about his right hand, isn't it?
It starts. Well, what that uppercut does, mate, is it starts the possibility of his combinations because it puts straight away. It puts the other fighter off balance, and then it can set himself then.
Yeah.
He's got that defensive style where he leans back, and when he does that, AJ's not going to get that uppercut off.
Yeah.
He's not one of these fighters where he's got to lean on AJ's chest because he's smaller than him. Remember?
No, two big guys. Yeah, and then post fight. Obviously, it's a 2-fight deal. So where's the second fight take place? Does that come to the UK?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's Wembley Stadium all day long, mate. And I think by that point, you might even get a full crowd.
Yeah.
The way they're going on with these vaccinations and stuff, they're running through them pretty quick now, aren't they? So I think you'll find stadiums will start filling up. I think we might even get some decent sized crowds end of summer. And I think you might see Wembley Stadium end of the year, mate.
Yeah, well, obviously the first fight.
Either end of the year or early next year, March, April, early next year.
Well, first fight's looking like June, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they'll probably have a year off after that, 9 months off after that. So I'd predict that if it is going to be Wembley, you look at the end of the next football season.
Well, thinking about it, maybe even summer. They might even wait till the summer when the weather's really good. I guess it all depends. It all depends on what happens. It all depends who wins, and then it all depends on the governing bodies. Are they going to be prepared to wait another year for the second fight, or are they going to start demanding number one challengers get the shot?
And what's the score with Frank Warren and Bob Arum with Fury then? What do you think's going off there? Because I think
I'm not sure Frank Warren's got any sort of play in this at all nowadays, mate. I think all he is the British spokesman, if you want to call it that. I don't even see him as a promoter when it comes to Fury nowadays. Fury's got a lot of respect for him because they've spent a lot of time together, and he's probably keeping them ties just out of that respect.
Yeah.
But I don't think he does a lot for him anymore at all, mate.
I don't think Fury signs another top rank deal though, unless it's mega money.
Who do you think he goes to?
It's a good question. I think there'll be a lot of bidders. I think he'll want a bit of that DAZN money for maybe a 2-fight deal.
What's he got left on it? Do you know?
Is it? I think it's 2 fights. 2 fights left from memory.
Well, that takes him for these 2 fights, then, don't it?
Yeah.
And you never know after that, mate. Fury might even retire because if he wins, certainly if he wins the first fight, if he wins that second fight as well, he's got nothing out. He don't have anything to. He's got nothing to prove to anybody anyway.
No.
But he certainly won't have after the two. If he wins those 2 fights, he has nothing to prove to anybody. And you could see him retiring. He might do a similar sort of thing. I'm not saying he'll blow up again, but what he might do is retire, let things pan out for a couple of years and come back again, and then win the lot off everybody again, just to prove that he can if he wants to.
Yeah. So it's safe to say that neither of us give AJ a chance in this fight, do we?
Really, and to be honest with you, my opinion on this whole situation has changed for the last 2 or 3 years. I remember you and me had this conversation probably around the AJ Klitschko fight, and I was quite adamant at the time that AJ beat Fury. But for me, a lot's changed since then. And
I still don't have a version of AJ beats Fury though.
maybe not, because he was. I think he was, but that fight was what changed something in AJ for me. Getting put down the way he got put down changed, and I think the way the fight went as well. It was a grueling fight for AJ, that, and I think that changed a lot of AJ's thoughts about how he goes into fights.
Yeah,
because he's certainly not as aggressive anymore, and that's what all his fight style was built on, is his aggression.
Yeah, well, I just think Ruiz took a lot from him, didn't he? He took a lot from AJ.
Well, that was the second. That's the second thing that makes me think he's gun shy, because you look at how he went into that second fight. He lost a load of timber, and he basically, mate, he danced around the ring for 12 rounds.
Very Fury-esque, wasn't it?
He didn't. Yeah, and to be fair to him, he boxed really well. But then again, he was boxing somebody that was 20 odd stone.
Yeah.
He was so out of shape. He couldn't get near AJ, and Andrew he's pretty quick for a big guy normally. But AJ wouldn't connect, mate. He wouldn't stand and trade, and that was his tactics. Fair enough. But I think the only reason he didn't do that is because he was scared of getting tagged again.
Yeah, I don't think AJ would be in any rush to jump back in with Andy Ruiz now.
No, not a chance, mate.
Because I think he's a very dangerous entity, that Andy Ruiz.
A lot better than people give him credit for, mate. He's got very quick hands. He's got a great hook, and that's what won him that first fight. Was his hands were quicker than. And
he's had a taste of it now, hasn't he? I mean, look at him now in camp.
I don't know if you've seen a couple of recent videos of him.
Yeah,
he's shedded loads of weight. He looks in really good shape. He's dangerous. He's dangerous to anybody in that division.
Yeah.
I know everyone jokes about how big he was and that he eats Snickers before he goes into fights and all that. Yeah, you can laugh about a big lad, but at the end of the day, the guy's got hand speed.
And he's got the art of a lion, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he's got the art of a lion.
Well, he got up off the floor with AJ, didn't he, and wants to get to stand and trade. I mean, he had nothing to lose in that first fight.
No.
And I think, unfortunately, you see it time and time again. You know, a fighter that has nothing wins the world title. He gets money thrown at him. He gets everything that he's never had. You know.
Well, he didn't walk back into camp till September, did he, for that AJ
fight? This is it. And when he did go into camp, by all accounts, he wasn't training properly. So, you know, there's that big argument there. And it happens time and time again with fighters. And you wonder, it makes you wonder, don't it? Because they spend the whole life waiting for that one shot, and they get it. They get it. They do something with it, and then they blow it all for the next fight because they think that's it. They've reached that goal, and they don't need to do anything anymore.
Yeah, where's the motivation? Where's the motivation? You've reached the summit. You know.
Well, his motivation was apart from the fact that he wanted to be a world champion, was money, wasn't it? His big payday that he's never had, you know, that sets his family up for life. Like a lot of people that go into boxing,
they
come from nothing, and they want to become something so that they can look after their families and all of that, which is amazing. And he had that opportunity, and he kind of blew it, because that could have gone on. He could have been the one fighting Fury now.
Yeah.
you know. But he didn't. He went away, and for 6 months he was eating hot dogs and partying.
A bit like me, and you, Andy. He went on the Andean coal. He went on the
Yeah.
Andean coal diet.
Hey, hold on a minute, mate. Pepsi Max, mate.
Yeah, 0 calories. But that didn't help when you've had 4 hot dogs beforehand.
Yeah. Don't tell no one about that.
So yes, that's a good 25 minutes on AJ versus Fiore. What I'm going to move on to now, we will do a separate stint on this, but we can't go without talking about Billy Joe Saunders, can we?
Oh, mate.
So let's have 10 minutes on Billy Joe Saunders. The strange videos he's releasing where he's just saying he's thankful for the opportunity.
You know, for me, mate, I think he's just being very, very sarcastic. I think he's been very sarcastic, and deep down, he's going to be trading his heart out for this fight because he's wanted it.
He looks in good nick. He looks in good nick now.
Yeah, he's saying he's like 2.5 stone overweight. He isn't 2.5 stone overweight. He'll come into that fight primed, and you'll see the very, very best Billy Joe Saunders.
We're talking about Billy, but if Billy Joe can't beat him, where do we go?
If Billy Joe can't beat him, mate, nobody beats him.
No,
he's the last line of fighters.
They're talking about that David Benavidez, whatever his name is, aren't they?
I don't know
not really so much of him.
No.
But they reckon he's the next one in line, don't they? Maybe September.
Right. Billy Joe's got the style to beat him, mate. It's whether he puts the game plan together.
I'm a massive. He can't bang, and I know me and you were disappointed with Callum Smith, weren't we? We're very disappointed.
Yeah, I think Callum Smith just let the occasion get to him a little bit because he's much better than he showed that night.
Yeah.
You've always me and you have always been big fans of Callum Smith, and I wasn't the slightest bit surprised that he won that Muhammad Ali trophy. I wasn't the slightest bit surprised that he's got to where he got, won a world title, beat George Groves. That didn't surprise me at all. I was a little bit disappointed, mate. He's much better than that, and he'll be kicking himself, I'm sure. That could have propelled him to superstardom.
So let's play the trainer game again, then, Andy. So you're in Billy Joe's corner.
Yeah.
How are you beating Canelo?
Movement. Canelo don't like movement, mate. The only person that's ever made Canelo look poor,
Mayweather.
Is Mayweather, and what's Mayweather got? Movement. Great movement. Doesn't let people set themselves. Doesn't let people get the shots off. For me, Billy Joe needs to do that. But can he do it for 12 rounds at super middleweight?
So we've got a question in the side, Andy, where someone's saying, did Smith underperform, or was Canelo just that good?
I don't think Canelo was that good that night. I don't think Canelo got out of second gear, if I'm quite honest.
Yeah, he was coasting, wasn't he?
He was coasting, yeah. That's what I think. Anyway, he wasn't. He didn't look like he was putting any extra effort in than he normally would in a fight.
Yeah.
I just feel Smith. I think he let the occasion get to him more than anything else. He didn't use his reach. He didn't use his jab. His advantages that he had. He just didn't use it.
Looked like stage fright to me.
A little bit. Probably a little bit. He probably had a little bit too much respect for Canelo, maybe.
Yeah.
Which is understandable, isn't it? He's the biggest fight he had was against Groves, and that's an English fighter. So he's still fighting. Not British level, but he's still fighting a British fighter.
Yeah.
He wasn't really out of his comfort zone there, and all of a sudden he's fighting the best fighter in the world.
He didn't let the handbrake off, Andy, did he?
No, and even when he was in trouble, mate, and he was losing the fight, he didn't He didn't put it on him. If he'd have put it on Canelo, you might have saw a different side.
Yeah.
We got another comment on the side there, mate.
Yeah, just bear with me. Do you want to read it out then, Andy? Because I can't see it yet.
I don't know. I can't see where it's come from. Oh no, sorry, it's the same one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Umad, who he's got on AJ versus Fiore. So let's see who Umad thinks is going to win. So I think you're right about Billy Joe. The trouble is, he's already acknowledged that he's 3 rounds down before he even steps in the ring.
Oh, without a doubt, mate. And he has to win every round very, very clearly. He needs to do what he did against what's his name? The other was he Canadian? The other guy he fought in America. Lemieux, that's the one.
Yeah.
For me, mate, he has to beat Canelo clearly in every single round to even get that round in his favour. It's very biased, isn't it? We all know it's very biased, and Billy Joe's not stupid. He knows it is. And he probably does start 3 or 4 rounds down. He just has to, for him to win that fight, he's got to be on his toes for the whole 12 rounds.
Can he do that as super middleweight?
Well, I don't know, is the question. On evidence of the last few fights when he's been up there, mate, no. He gasses. Coming down the stretch, 9, 10, 11, 12.
He's in big trouble if he gasses.
Oh yeah, because as soon as he stops and Canelo's in front of him, he's in trouble because Canelo's going to start letting them hooks to the body go.
Yeah.
By that point of the fight, Billy Joe won't have a lot left.
And I think that's why Callum Smith never emptied the tank, because he's worried.
Yeah, maybe, but the thing is, he knew coming into them later rounds when he knew he was down on the card. He knew he was losing the fight. He must have. He should have gone broke for me.
What do you think about Joe Gallagher's tactics in that fight then with Smith?
I thought they were poor, mate. I really do. I don't think he was telling Smith the right things at all. Yeah,
so Umad said I think Fiore's favourite, but I can see it going either way.
Okay, then Umad, do you want to enlighten us a little bit on the either way thing? So you think AJ's got a chance?
How does AJ win? Because I can't see a way, fella, to be honest. So feel free to put it in the comments box. But I can't see AJ unless it's very early doors and he catches Fiore cold. I'm struggling. So let's see what Umad puts. So just coming back to Canelo and Billy Joe then. So obviously it looks like Texas.
Yeah, it's going to be into it. It's a stronghold into it for the Mexican.
Cinco de Mayo into it. So
it's good. Billy Joe's going to be walking into a bit of a cauldron there if they got fans in, which I think they will have.
They will have, won't they?
He'll be walking into a bit of a cauldron, mate. Obviously, no English fans are going to be able to travel,
but he'll love it, won't he?
He'll love it, and he won't be scared in the slightest. Nothing. I don't think anything phases Billy Joe. He just needs to get his tactics right, and he seems. I know he's coming out with these bizarre videos, which is a bit odd, but I think it's all tongue in cheek for me, mate. It's all aimed at these people that are not giving him a chance before he's even laced his boots up.
And it's Mark Tibbs in his corner, isn't it? Am I right? Mark Tibbs?
Yeah, it is.
See, interesting choice.
It's been there before, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's yo-yoed a little bit, hasn't he?
Yeah.
With Ben Davison.
I think he's gone back to what he knows, where he was the most successful, mate. And for me, it's not necessarily a bad choice. They know each other. They know what they're thinking, and he just needs to get back to doing what he does best.
And he seems to listen to Mark Tibbs as well, don't he?
Yeah, there's respect there. There's respect there because he was with him for a while, wasn't he? So Yeah, for me, mate, that and there's no doubt in it that that's going to be his tactics.
So Umad's responded. If Fury fights how he did in Wilder 2, trying to put AJ on the back foot, I think that suits AJ more. So what do you think about that, Ander?
I see where he's coming from. It probably plays into AJ's hands a little bit, but only for the first few rounds. Fury's for me, Fury's a bit smarter than that. I don't think Fury will stand toe to toe for the first 3 or 4 rounds.
I think Umad's sitting on the fence a little bit because he's never really put who he thinks is going to win the fight. So come on, lad. Let's have a prediction out of you. Who wins and what round?
Was Umad on the call? Was he?
No.
So he didn't get our predictions. Shall we give him our prediction?
Yeah. So just so you're aware, I've gone round 10, Fury. I'll let you tell your bit, Ander.
I went round 7, Umad. I think AJ's tactics are going to be that he's going to put it on or try and put it on Fury for the first few rounds, and if he does, I think he's likely to gas if he don't get Fury out of there. So I think Fury takes him out round 7.
So let's have your prediction, Umad. No sitting on the fence on a Saturday night. It's not allowed. And whilst you're at it, Umad, who do you reckon is going to win out of Billy Joe versus Canelo? And let's have a prediction out of that as well.
Go on then, Carl. You never get yours for Billy Joe Canelo.
So unfortunate there, as much as I'm a Billy Joe fan, I think Canelo breaks him up. I'm going to go mid, round 6.
Really?
Yeah.
You think he does him in round? So I think Billy Joe's better than that, mate.
No, I don't think I don't rate Billy Joe. No, that's harsh. I think he's a better middleweight than he is super middleweight. I'm not sure if he can get back down to middleweight. He doesn't carry any power at super middleweight. So I'm going to go. He can't keep Canelo off round 6. And Umad won't give us a prediction. Look,
I know, yeah. Oh, it's disappointing, Umad. Come on, mate. I completely agree with you that he's better at middleweight, and only because with less weight on him, he's got better movement. And unfortunately, Billy Joe doesn't bang. So if he does have to trade with Canelo, he's probably not going to get Canelo's respect there, and make Canelo think twice about coming forward. It all comes down to can Billy Joe fight slick for 12 rounds? If he can win the fight. I'm not saying he will win the fight doing that. He can win the fight doing that. But even to get to so for me, Billy Joe can't stop Canelo because I don't think he hits hard enough.
so he's on the back foot all night then.
He's got to be, mate. It's his only way of winning, in my opinion. He's got to fight slick, and that only on the back foot don't mean he's running scared. It means he's fighting smart. He's got to fight that way. He can't win the fight standing toe to toe with Canelo. I don't think anybody in the world can win a fight standing toe to toe with Canelo. He has too much. He's got too much variety for someone to trade with him. You can't do it. So Billy Joe's not daft either, mate. He'll go into that fight and he'll fight the way I'm sure he will. He'll fight the way that I think he'll fight, and he has a chance. But he has to win the rounds clearly, because we are talking about America here. And we're talking, you said the fight is probably Texas, which is right on the border with Mexico. So it's going to be a very biased situation, a very biased atmosphere. Yeah, it's tough, but he has a chance if he fights that way. But if you want a prediction from me, I think Canelo wins on points.
There is parallels to this fight to Klitschko versus Fury, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, people couldn't think Klitschko could be beating Germany. You know, very different. Fury dances around, nicks around here and there. So the blueprint's there, but it's just obviously Canelo's Mexicans. Is a Mexican dream into, you know. So it's going to take a lot to shift them.
Yeah, yeah.
Umad, I'm assuming that just to go against you two, I'm going to go for AJ. Wow. We'll remind you of this, Umad, when the fights took place.
I think Umad's had a few drinks tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be interested to know, Umad, how he wins. I know you mentioned it, but I think you're playing devil's advocate a little bit there, fella. So, Andy, what did you say your prediction was again for Canelo? Canelo's going to win points.
I think Canelo wins on points, mate, and it'll be one of those. It'll be controversial because Billy Joe will win rounds. He will win rounds, but he won't win him clear enough for me, and they'll probably make it a wide point decision. I could see it happening now, and it'll cause chaos.
Well, can you imagine if Billy Joe does win out there on their bank holiday weekend?
Wow. If he, I tell you what, right? I'll go right. I'll say it right now. I'll go as far as to say, if Billy Joe beats Canelo, it'll be the best victory for a British fighter abroad ever.
There's no rematch clause in that fight, you know.
Is there not?
No.
That shows how confident Canelo is, then, don't it?
Well, Eddie Hearn's argument is that Canelo's the biggest fight in the weight division anyway, so you'd want to rematch. So yeah,
A bit naughty, that is. A bit naughty, and I can understand. I can understand why Billy Joe thinks that Eddie Hearn's in Canelo's corner when you do things like that. Eddie Hearn does not. Eddie Hearn never ever goes into a world title fight with one of his fighters without a rematch clause. Never does it. All of a sudden, he's got two fighters. Yeah, one of them's signed for Dizan, which Eddie Hearn's part of, but the other one's
risky for Canelo as well, though, isn't it?
Hey,
it's risky for Canelo as well.
It is risky for Canelo, but Canelo obviously believes there's no doubt he's going to win the fight. He's a very confident fighter, isn't he, mate? And let's have it right. Other than Mayweather, no one's troubled him.
Yep.
Not really.
Yeah.
No, not
different. It's a different beast now, isn't it?
Oh, mate, yeah, he is. He is, and yeah, there's a certain style, mate, and everyone says it, don't they? Styles make fights. Well, this might be one fight Canelo wishes he hadn't took.
Yeah. Yeah, but we'll do a separate session on that one, and we'll go into that a bit further. What, we got 8 weeks before that?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. So,
Yeah.
do you want to touch on any other fights? Do you want to talk about anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking. We'll probably run it for about another 20 minutes, and the next fight of interest really would be Usyk versus Joyce, because that really is a clash of styles.
Yeah.
So who you got for that?
You know my feelings on Joe Joyce, mate. I think he's a robot. I don't think he's talented at all. I think
that's a bit harsh.
No, I don't think it is, mate. For me, he has a great engine. He has a great chin, and that's it.
I think the truth is you don't appreciate his boxing style, so that's why you don't particularly rate him.
No, it's not that at all. It's not that at all. He's very one-dimensional. It's not about boxing styles because he hasn't really got a style. He's got a good. I'll tell you what I'll give him. Right, he's got a ramrod of a jab. That's not. It's not a normal jab. It's not the sort of jab that sets all the shots up. That jab's like anybody else's right hand or hook. He uses that jab as a weapon more than a lot of fighters do. And to be honest, that's all he has, in my opinion. Everything else is very slow and very predictable, and any decent fighter will navigate it. And I'm sure Usyk's capable of doing that. I think Usyk beats him, mate, and I think he might even stop him.
Well, this is the first disagreement we've got then. because I think Joyce is just too big, and he'll just overwhelm Usyk. I think he was very underwhelming against Del Boy. Very underwhelming. A better boxer takes him out early doors in that fight.
I agree with you. He was poor against Del Boy. You got to think though, that's his step up into it.
Where do you put Del Boy in the heavyweight? Where do you put him in the heavyweight scene at the minute in terms of ranking though? Is he above Joyce? I can't even believe you consider it.
It's hard to say because he's only had 2 fights at heavyweight, isn't it? I think it's a bit bad that because he was
Del Boy. You put Del Boy above Joyce.
Yeah.
Really? No.
Yeah.
Not
Del Boy's Del Boy's been in wars, mate. He's had a lot stronger fighters than Joyce. Look at the resume.
Father Time's caught up with him though, hasn't it?
Maybe so, but he's still in them fights. He's not getting battered. He's not getting knocked out cold. Yeah, fair enough. Apart from Dillian White, that second Dillian White fight, he got caught. Other than that, mate, he's in fight. He was in that fight. He was probably winning that fight up to that point.
So you're saying Joyce don't beat Del Boy?
No.
Well, let's hope they meet because I think he does. I think he jabs his face off.
But you've just said it there, mate. That's all he's got.
It's enough though.
It's not enough. It's not enough. It might be enough at the level he's at now. It's enough at the level he's at now. It's not enough when he steps up into the decent fighters. And I think Usyk's small, mate. I'll give you that. And that's a big disadvantage when it comes to this level and this weight division. There's parallels, I suppose, to Holyfield in a sense that Holyfield come up from cruiserweight, and it didn't stop him. But the only difference is the fighters weren't quite big, were they?
It's like comparing night and day.
Well, the fighters weren't quite as big. I'm saying he's anywhere near as good as he's not a patch on, but he's coming up having destroyed the division, looking to make his way in this weight division. For me,
I'm sure you'd agree. It's a bang average division that division has come out of, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and I still think there's an argument where it's being gifted major fights.
Yeah, he is. I was just about to say to you, just because he was unified champion at cruiserweight, don't mean he should go into number 1 and number 2 slots in rankings. He needs to work. He should have to work his way up. I completely agree. And certain fights are way too soon for him, but I don't think Joe Joyce is way too soon for him. I think he dances around Joyce all night long, mate. Joyce is too slow. He's got no movement. If he's able to get inside Joyce's jab at any point in a round, he wins the round. And that's all he'll do all night. He'll dance around him.
Yeah, just alarm bells for me. The first 3 or 4 rounds against Del Boy, he was out of sorts, wasn't he? You know.
Oh yeah, without doubt, mate.
And a better fighter stops him.
Oh yeah, better fighter would have stopped him that night. Everyone's allowed a bad night, though, aren't they?
Yeah, I worry that he's just not big enough.
Well, you might be right. He probably isn't big enough. But time's going to tell. Against the real best in the division, he probably can't win because of that.
Yeah.
Because they're not only bigger, they're also world class, aren't they?
Yeah, because you remember Bellew when he met Wilder?
Yeah, Bellew said how much bigger he was. I completely agree. And Usyk's no bigger than Bellew. He's probably a little bit smaller than Bellew, in fact.
Yeah.
But the difference is here that we're not talking about an elite heavyweight. We're talking about Joe Joyce. He's not elite, mate.
No, I wouldn't say he's elite, obviously, but he's probably that next tier down for me.
I don't even think he's that.
Yeah, I'd put him in with people like Joe Parker.
Really? You think he's that level? Yeah.
I'd put him in. Yeah, I would. Yeah, the Joe Parkers. Rattle some more names off to me. Because is that?
Dillian White, Povetkin,
I think he gives Povetkin a fight. They're very similar.
Oscar Rivas.
Rivas is a little bit. We don't know what he is yet, do we? You know, we don't know what he is. We don't know how good he is. But these fighters that have stepped up, Tyson Fury often talks about them, don't he? The ones who step up to elite and get beat time and time again.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So I just think,
I don't. For me, I disagree with you there a little bit. I don't think he's quite in that next tier. You've got two elite fighters in the division, in my opinion, who are gonna sort it out, and then you've got a couple of fighters at the next bracket. Dillian White being one of them. He made a mistake against Povetkin. He will sort that out this next fight.
yeah, I believe he will as well.
And then Dillian White's proved it, mate. He's fought everybody that's in that supposed next bracket and beat them.
But he's got his limitations as well, hasn't he?
He has got his limitations, but what I'm saying to you is, he's got his limitations, but he's still better than the rest. And Joe Joyce, for me, isn't anywhere near that. He's the next one down, the next level down to that. Just think about who he's fought. Who's he actually fought?
Well, people were saying Dubois was the next big thing before he took him apart.
Yeah, exactly. The next big thing, who'd had about, I don't know, what was it, 10 fights? 15 fights, and they were all against nobodies. He's a 22, 23-year-old lad with virtually no experience. He got thrown into that Joyce fight way too soon. And it was like a rabbit in headlights. He didn't know what to do. I think that made Joyce look better than he actually is, mate. Because before that fight, we've said it on more than one occasion, he's very, very limited.
Yeah.
He's got a great engine, like you've said. He can go all night long. But the reason he goes all night long is because he don't do anything other than throw the jab.
Yeah.
And decent fighters beat that all day long.
And then the last thing I'll probably touch on the last 10 minutes. Have you seen the rumours today about the rumour, and it is only a rumour, that Eddie Hearn may be leaving Sky for DAZN full time?
I heard that, yeah, I heard that. I'm not sure. I don't know, mate.
Well, obviously, DAZN are now coming into the UK market. Eddie Hearn's got the strongest stable, of fighters.
If you used to say to me that there was a new boxing channel on that was going to set up themselves on as a channel on Sky TV, for example, just like BT have got their own sports channel. If there was a new channel, DAZN set up, then there's a possibility that he could take his market to them. I can't see him walking away from Sky.
Wow.
I think DAZN have got a lot to do, mate, to break the British market.
Obviously, we've got no affiliation, just put that out there. But obviously, he already acts as some kind of advisor for DAZN, doesn't he?
And he's got a lot of fighters. He's brought a lot of fighters to DAZN, hasn't he? Absolutely, I completely agree with you. And there's probably already a conflict there.
I'm just thinking about the Matchroom model at the minute, where they're trying to develop all them different territories. For example, Italy, America, Matchroom USA. They've done fights in Spain. They're looking at other territories in Africa by all accounts.
Well, you've seen it already, haven't you? That a few of the fights that would have normally been on Sky have only been shown on DAZN. Yeah. So you've seen it happen, but I don't see it happening to the point where he walks away from Sky altogether.
So how does he manage that then? Will it become a two-tier system where the elite gets
Maybe,
put?
maybe
Let's call them elite fighters.
he might have to. Well, I mean, I'm sure Sky are not stupid, and I'm sure there's a contract in place there that lasts for so long, and I'm sure there'll be something there. And Eddie Hearn's not daft either, which is why I don't think he'll walk away from him. Because once he has walked away, you've got to think Sky's the number one in the UK. They put on a great show, don't they? Let's have it right.
They do.
You know, they put on a great show, and I'm Eddie Hearn's not daft. He knows his markets. He understands.
All I would say
Is that not going to be interested in up and coming fighters? They want to.
All I would say is that DAZN haven't had an opportunity in the UK yet because of COVID to do anything with a crowd.
No, I'll give you that.
So we don't know what their production looks like, do we, at the minute?
I'm not. I don't know, mate. I can't see it happening. I think it's just this is people putting rumours out there just to try and rattle the cage a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure Sky won't want to play second fiddle, if you know what I mean.
Oh no, they wouldn't do. But I think it's a non-story, if I'm honest.
It'd be quite interesting. And where do you think the Sauerlands are going to take Eubank Jr.?
Oh, I don't understand that one little bit. I don't get it.
Yeah.
What Caller's thinking there, I really don't know. He's proved, mate, he's got a track record. He's proved he can't work with promoters because his old man gets too involved. He's proved it. Sky gave him a couple of fight deal. That went pear-shaped.
That's a great fight, though, him and Liam Williams, isn't
it? Yeah. It is. I think Sauerlands think they're getting more. They're getting more than they're actually getting. It's just odd. I don't even know if it's him, mate. It might be his dad wanting too much for him, but they do think they're a bigger pull than they actually are.
Yeah, he's very lucky to have the Eubank surname, isn't there? Because he's what's he achieved?
We've got another message coming here, Cole.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, so I hope I pronounce this right. I'd say it's Raddy1 says that Eubank will not win a world title. I tend to agree.
Absolutely, yeah. Completely agree with you, mate. Yeah, he's had...
Billy Joe Saunders is very quick to say that, isn't there? There's still a bit of needle there between them.
Well, the thing is, Eubank stepped up twice. He stepped up against Billy Joe Saunders. Yeah, that was only a British title, wasn't it? And they were both still up-and-coming fighters.
Yeah.
But for me, Billy Joe Saunders schooled him for the first half of the fight and then got tired.
Yeah, that's quite badly, didn't it?
He stepped up again against in the Super Series against Groves. Didn't have a clue. He just isn't good enough at world level. He has one style of fighting, and when that doesn't work, he doesn't have a game plan. But by all accounts, he's out training. He's out training with some great trainers in America.
Right.
I like to say he's out there. Who is he with?
Roy Jr.'s got something to do with him.
Yeah, that's it. Roy Jones Jr. Now, obviously, Roy Jones is another level. When he was at his best, mate, he was at another level.
Yeah, Andy, we got a comment.
Style.
We got a comment in. Again, apologies if it's not the right pronunciation, but Radia one, who's commented before about Eubank, said he can't move his feet or jab. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think
I
he's
do.
quite
I
good.
do. I agree what the lad's saying there. If it is lad, sorry. I agree that he's got poor movement, mate. He
I
looks.
think
You
it's
know
his
what?
power that lets him down. I think it's his power. I think no, I don't agree on this one. I think
The
his
thing is, though,
outstanding trade to show I don't know, bravery in how his dad articulates to be the warrior code. I think
yeah.
actually he's quite a good boxer. He just lacks the power.
Again, mate, I think me and you are going to disagree on this. You look at the fight against George Groves when he once stood in front of George Groves and couldn't throw his shots, his combinations. He didn't know how to get in range. He was overshooting. He was stumbling forward because he wasn't making that move, that room up with his feet.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's world class, but what I'm saying is, of his attributes, our movement is one of his strongest qualities. Can't punch,
He's
you
got
know.
he's got every shot in the book, mate. And when he's punching a bag, he looks unbeatable.
Yeah.
He looks world class. These videos he puts out are fantastic. He's clearly got an engine. He's probably one of the fittest fighters on the planet. But that doesn't mean he's going to win a fight because
No.
a bag don't punch back.
So we've got another comment, and again, apologies about the pronunciation if it's not right. Radia one, I think it will be points because AJ is bigger and physically stronger than Wilder. So
Wow.
Fury won't be as aggressive, so we'll box his ears off. He knows if he can get too close to AJ can catch him. And then he also said about Canelo wins comfortably against Billy Joe. So
He's saying something a little bit similar to us on the AJ Fury thing. Yeah, I don't.
When you say Canelo wins comfortably, let's have a round out here. Did I go round 6 under?
No, you went round 10.
No, for Canelo.
Oh, yeah, you said round 6.
Yeah, so I've gone round 6. What are you? You went points?
I went points to Canelo, yeah.
Yeah, so let's have your on then, fella. What do you think is going to be? And then we can revisit this after the fight and just prove that I'm right and I know the most about boxing.
Let me let me just clarify though before we go any further. I said points Canelo.
No, you can't stop backtracking now.
No. I just want to clarify. I do think Billy Joe's got a very, very good chance as long as he fights the right game and stays on his toes. He can win on points. I don't think Billy Joe's capable of stopping Canelo because he doesn't have the power, but he can win on points. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that a lot of people do that Canelo wins easy. If Canelo wins on wide points, it's because of the scorecards, not because he's beat Billy Joe comfortably every round, because that won't happen.
Yeah, you know I'm a big Billy Joe fan, but I can't make a case for him winning this fight. And I wish I could. But I can't.
Guess we'll see.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. You know, I really do hope I'm wrong. If it goes to points, it's Canelo. I don't think it does. I think Canelo walks him down. I don't think Billy Joe can cut. Canelo will cut the ring off. Cut the ring off and break him off.
But Canelo's he's a straight line fighter.
Yeah, I agree, but I think he'll just put it on Billy. He'll put it on him and say, "This is me."
He can only put it on him if Billy Joe stands in front of him. This is what I'm saying about his movement. As soon as Billy Joe is capable of moving for 12 rounds, I'm absolutely sure, mate, he'll train that style and that way. That's the way Billy Joe fights anyway. He's a slick fighter. He likes to fight off the back foot. It's whether he can keep Canelo off for 12 rounds. If he can't, then he's in trouble.
these people who are telling me that if the Billy Joe turns up that beat Lemieux, with all due respect, you're talking about night and day when you talk about Lemieux and Canelo.
Yeah, they're not the same. They're not even the same league, are they?
Lemieux was on the. You could argue Lemieux was on the slide when he fought Billy Joe. For me,
I don't know about that. I think that's being a bit harsh on Billy Joe. Billy Joe just schooled him.
What's Lemieux done since?
Nothing. But is that because of what Billy Joe did to him?
Well, I just think
for me, Billy Joe broke his heart in that fight, mate. I think he proved a point to a lot of doubters in that. But you are right. Is Lemieux's nowhere near the fighter that Canelo is?
No.
Anybody?
So Radia one says Lemieux was a puncher. That's it. No skill set or anything. That might be a bit harsh as well.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. What's the comment he's put below?
Yeah, that was what I just read out, and
all right, okay.
Yeah, so that might be a bit harsh. So Radia one, who's your favourite boxer? Let's have a debate about your favourite boxer at the minute, or your favourite boxer of all time. I know I talk about Lennox Lewis a lot, don't I, Andy? I'm a massive fan of Lewis. Yeah. I think he's dominating this era as well. I think he's Fury.
Without a doubt, mate, he'd score this era.
Yeah.
He's probably, and I've always said this, underrated when it comes to the greatest heavyweights.
Yeah,
underrated.
I'd have to agree.
And for me, he'd be in probably my top 5.
Yeah. Who's the greatest trainer in the UK at the minute, or involved with a UK fighter?
That's tough.
Oh, so Radia says Canelo's his favourite fighter at the moment. Sugar Ray Leonard is his favourite of all time. Good shout.
I go for Agler in that era, me.
I'm more Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray's skill set was unbelievable, mate.
Yeah.
I still think Agler won that fight.
Yeah.
Agler was an animal.
And I'm not gonna agree with this one. So in terms of the trainer, it's gone for Adam Booth.
I think. Okay, so I think the fight.
No sitting on the fence here, Andy. Let's have it.
David Avanesian proves Adam Booth's not the best trainer in the UK because they had no game plan, second game plan when things weren't going right.
So who's your money on then?
Me? Oh, wow. Tough, mate. Tough.
Yeah, there's no standouts, is there? I'm going to go for a main man, Carl Greaves. I think Carl Greaves is going to have a big year. I think he'll start getting some more fighters.
He deserves to get some more fighters, by the way. And that's not just because we're Midlands lads either. Cole's very underrated.
He is. So he's put another comment in, Andy. He's put but Ingle didn't for Davis Jr. in his last fight, but look at what he's done. Yeah. I think Brendan Ingle was the main man, to be honest with you, out of them lot. Not sure about Dominic.
I think maybe Dominic Ingle lives a little bit off his old man's legacy. I don't think the fighters in his era are anywhere near the fighters that his dad had.
yeah, when you think about Johnny Nelson, Nazim Ahmed, he had a conveyor belt, didn't he? Um, so yeah, I'm not sure about that Wavadia one. Ingle, yeah, Joey's out a little bit. I think he's in the pool of average trainers, to be honest.
I think you're right. Touching back on Cole Greaves a little bit there. I think you're right, mate. I think now he proved, didn't he? He was very straight, mate. When he was asked about his tactics for that last fight for Abanesian,
He called it.
He called it from the beginning. He wasn't hiding anything neither. He said it in the build-up. He was saying it for 2 years before, in fact, when the original fight should have taken place, that's the way they were going to go. And he was even more confident this time round because he lives and breathes with his fighters.
Yeah.
He knew what Avanesian was capable of, and he'd studied
Josh Keller.
He'd studied Kelly and knew what Kelly was capable of, and they built a game plan that won that fight. The Adam Booth situation that, the guy was saying Adam Booth. Unfortunately, Adam Booth doesn't, I don't think, sometimes he doesn't look outside his camp and look at the bigger picture. He has a fighter. Kelly's got lots of talent, don't get me wrong.
Is it the wrong weight though, isn't
He's at the wrong weight, number one, and he wasn't tested. And Adam Booth threw him into a fight with an animal.
Yeah.
And he kind of threw him in hoping he'd either sink or swim. And I don't think that's the right way to go as a world-class trainer.
What about your favourite Joe Gallagher?
It's not my favourite at all. So Joe, for me, I know that a few years back, Joe Gallagher won Trainer of the Year. Joe Gallagher's had some great fighters, and I think they've probably made him look better than he is. And I don't mean to be harsh on that, but sometimes you listen to some of the tactics that Joe Gallagher puts out there, and in between rounds, he doesn't really have a lot to say to his fighters. He doesn't have a lot to give. These fighters are struggling in there, and he's not telling them what they need to be doing to get back into a fight, or if they're really struggling later rounds, he's not telling them what they need to do to take that breather for the first part of the next round. He's giving them basic tactics that are not going to help him in that situation. So that's what, for me, you can't put him up there as one of the best coaches.
And the world's against him, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he always makes excuses. Yeah, agreed.
So I was just looking on BotRec, and they've actually got Freddie Roach down as the best. I know he's not connected to anyone in the UK, but you've got the likes of Freddie Roach as well, haven't you? It had a little bit of involvement over the years. On a global scene, my favourite's Teddy Atlas.
Yeah, he's not training anyone at the minute, though, is he?
No, he's too busy doing podcasts. Yeah.
So there's a man. If anybody wants to look at what a trainer should do with a fighter in the corner, go and look at some of Teddy Atlas corner comments in between rounds for fighters. That's somebody that knows how to bring a fighter that's struggling in a fight to bring them up to the point where they believe they're winning the fight and they can go out that next round and stop the fighter. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a muchness for me in the UK. There's a lot of fighters as well that jump between coaches, so it makes it difficult to see. You don't get, like you might have done years back, you don't get a fighter stay with one coach nowadays for his career.
Yeah, just another name, Andy. You got the likes of Gary Lockett as well, who do a lot around the small halls.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of these small old coaches that don't get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah.
And luckily for Carl Greaves, he's been on a show now where He's been able to prove what he's capable of and his fighters are capable of. So hopefully, you might even see some bigger name fighters going to Carl and saying, can I spend some time with you and see how things pan out. I hope so, because he lives and breathes the sport.
I mean, some other names to throw at you, Andy. You've got Billy Nelson. You've got Peter Fiore. Not spoken about Peter Fiore.
No, we haven't.
You could say that he put Tyson together. What we're seeing now is accolade to Peter Fiore.
I wouldn't go against that either. And Peter Fiore is a very straight man as well. You ask Peter Fiore a question, you're going to get a straight answer.
You are, yeah.
There's no beating about the bush there. He says it how it is, which for me is absolutely fantastic. And it's a breath of fresh air in a sport where people hide behind things. Unfortunately, you get a lot of coaches that will say, "Oh, well, this happened and that happened," and blah de blah. And you don't get that. You don't get that with Peter Fiore. He's dead straight, and he believes in the purity of the sport.
Yeah, but Boxrec, Adam Booth last time they polled people. Adam Booth came out on top.
For UK?
Yeah, with about 20%, 27% it's saying here. So yeah, that's what. So maybe that's where your main man's getting his info from. So another comment, how about the lad from Norwich who's got the Welsh brothers, Graham Everett, Fiore, Tibbs. So Graham Everett's, again, he needs a breakout boxer, don't you, really? Tibbs, we've touched on Tibbs. I'm not a massive fan of Mark Tibbs. Show me what he's done with a boxer. Show me what he's done. A lot of boxers tend to vacate his services when they get to a certain level. I don't know if you agree with that, Andy.
Yeah, I do. I do agree with that. I'll tell you one. There's one name that's not in there that no one's talked about. He's had 2 world champions. He's only ever trained 2 fighters, 2 professional fighters, and he's had 2 world champions. Rob McCracken.
Yep.
Both of those fighters have stayed completely loyal to him as well. Carl Froch was with him his whole career. And won't hear a bad word against him.
No, he won't.
And let's have it right. I'd say he's probably the best attacking coach or offensive coach in the game in the sense of.
Do you know where I think that stems from, Andy? I think it's because he's heavily involved in the Olympic squad, isn't it? Where obviously in the amateurs you get points for hitting target.
Yeah, there is that, and I have touched on before. Ant, I've said to you that his defensive side of his coaching probably needs a bit of work, but that's not his game, mate. It's not his game, like you've just said with the Olympic squad. It's not his game. It never will be. But what you have got there is loyalty. The 2 fighters that he's had won't say a word against him. Everyone was saying after Joshua lost to Ruiz Jr., he should walk away from McCracken. Shouldn't be with McCracken no more.
Yeah.
And if Joshua wanted to put any sort of blame on anybody, that would have been a very easy move to put the blame on McCracken and go, "Oh, nothing with training. Things are not being right with my coach," and he never did that. Not 1 second. He stood by McCracken, even though people were saying he's not a very good coach. He weren't giving, he wasn't giving very good advice in the corner that night. Whatever you want to call it, McCracken gives the advice he gives because it's very plain and simple to do step by step the simple things to get his fighter back into the game or to give his fighter a breather in any given situation, and it will be the same sort of comments he'll use in training. And that's why he uses them in corners in a fight situation. For me, Rob McCracken's a great trainer. You don't go to the Olympics and win as many medals as you do in the amateur game without being a great trainer.
No. Right, and we've done a bit longer than we thought we were going to do. So what we'll do is bring this to a halt now, and
Okay.
And then what we'll do, we'll announce when we're next coming online next and what we're coming online about. We'll put it all on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Thanks for everyone who's joined in. Keep safe, and we'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Take care, everybody.